Thokozani emakosini Tamaku. Thank you for joining me for another video. It's been a minute. My apologies. I fell ill and then things got busy at home, and things are still busy at home. I will not be releasing videos as often as I would like until things settle down. But nonetheless, while I was recovering, I was keeping positive. And I did that portrait for my mom for her birthday. That's a painting there. I hope it looks good. Anyway, please also excuse my appearance, guys. Like, it's a really hectic. Like, my nails, I didn't even get a chance, so please bear with me. So today I want to talk about divination and the diviners that we have in the Bible. We'll read from Romans 3, from verse 1 and 2. Excuse me. What then? Then what's the advantage of being a Bantu? Is there any value in the ceremony of circumcision? Yes, there are great benefits. First of all, the Bantus were entrusted with the whole revelation of God. So we'll start there, that the Bantus were entrusted with the whole revelation of God. He's asking here, is there any value in the ceremony of circumcision? Meaning, is there any value in your culture? All right? And it's answering, yes, there are great benefits. First of all, the Bantus were entrusted with the whole revelation of God. Meaning your culture has the whole revelation of God. Okay, so in this teaching, excuse me, in this teaching, I wanna show you that divination is God's visitation to a person or to a nation. God speaks through divination, meaning God the creator, no other God, the creator. Makosi, the Most High, the creator, speaks through divination. Okay, not only divination, but divination is, yes, a key thing. So we'll read 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going to read verse 1 and drop down to 4 for the sake of time. Now, about the gifts of the Spirit, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be uninformed. There are different, okay, it's verse 4. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Master. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. Okay, so when it comes to, okay, let's read verse 7. Now to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good, the good of the nation. Okay. Here I'm going to focus on verse 6. It says, there are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. Okay. So I want to show in the different tools of divination, in the Bible, it is the same God. It's the same Spirit at work. Okay. So we have Umsindisi, and I've spoken about Umsindisi a number of times in previous videos. Umsindisi had the office of a prophet, okay, and it's pretty clear that Umsindisi Vele, if you look at the signs, he was a Sangoma Makos. He was a Sangoma. So he is our example, okay? He went through water initiation. He healed people. He was an ancestral vessel because he was speaking to his ancestors. He often retreated up into the mountains to pray. He taught God's law whilst obeying them. Makosi. So let's look at who were diviners in the Bible. Okay, I put up a short list. We will start with Aaron and Moses from wow. We'll start from Numbers chapter 12, from verse 4. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, Come out ye three into the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. Verse 5. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. Because he spoke face to face. But here we can see that God will make himself known in a vision or in dreams to prophets, okay? That is also a form of divination, and it's a visitation, as we can see. Of course, it's a visitation of God for the mere fact that there is a message that will be delivered to you from him, because different administrations of the Spirit, different workings, different service, but it is the same God. Okay, so that was Moses. Let's look at Joshua. Let's read Numbers 27. to 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, Take thee Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit. Okay, and please, if you read there carefully, it's not the capital S as in the Holy Spirit, it's a small s, but in whom is the Spirit, and lay thine hand upon him. Meaning that Joshua also had spirit, small s, like I would have as an ancestral vessel. I would have small s because I'm an ancestral vessel. Do you understand? In whom is the small s, the Spirit. Makosi, the ancestors. And lay thine hand upon him, and set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. And thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him, and that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of the Urim before the Lord. And at his word shall they go out, and at his word they shall come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him. even all the congregation. So the Urim and the Thummim, those were instruments of divination. God is instructing Joshua that if he should ever, if he wants to inquire of God, of, what to do, he must come to the priest, and the priest will divine for him and hear what God has to say. Of course. All right, so let's move on. Let's look at Joseph. So if you remember in Genesis 44 with Joseph, with the cup of divination. Okay, we're gonna look at that cup that was supposedly stolen by Benjamin. Okay, but we will have the full story from Joshua chapter 53, excuse me, we'll start at verse 11 and 12. And Joseph had a cup from which he drank, and it was of silver beautifully inlaid with onyx stones and bdellium. And Joseph struck the cup in the sight of his brothers whilst they were sitting to eat with him. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup that Reuben, the firstborn, Simeon and Levi and Judah, Issachar and Zebulun are children of one mother. Seat yourselves to eat according to your births. So even Joseph was actually saying that, okay, I'm a diviner. Okay, so I know by my cup, like pretending. Okay, I know by my cup that you guys are of one mother, so you guys sit that side. But he had already known. But he is a prophet. You understand? So he's using that excuse of him being a prophet to basically know the secret details that he was not supposed to know. So, verse 12. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup. Okay, excuse me. Let's drop down to verse 16. And Joseph swore unto them, and he pressed them hard, and they drank plentifully with him on that day. And Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him, and Benjamin was still sitting upon the throne before Joseph. So Benjamin ended up sitting with Joseph because Joseph knew that his brother was missing, and so he was the only one from his mother. So he said, you just come sit with me on the throne. Meanwhile, he was sitting with his brother. It was all a plan. And Joseph said unto him, Hast thou begotten any children? And he said, Thy servant has begotten 10 sons, and these are their names: Bela, Becca, Ashbal, Gera, Naaman, Aki, Rosh, Mupim, Shupim, and Ord. And I called their names after my brother, whom I have not seen. He called all those names after Joshua. Okay? After Joseph, who he has not seen. Verse 18. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, I have heard that the Bantus are acquainted with all wisdom. Do you know anything of this? And Benjamin said, Thy servant is knowing also in all wisdom, which my father taught me. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, Look now at this instrument, and understand where thy brother Joseph is in Egypt, who you said went down to Egypt. So what is happening now? Joseph is like, okay, so I hear the Bantus are very wise. Okay, I'm going to bring you. He's saying, he's bringing an instrument of divination, a map of the stars. Okay. And it's like, okay, try this divination tool and see if you cannot locate your brother using this divination tool. Makosi. who find your brother who you said is in Egypt, make your story and your stay here in Egypt very short and easy. And Benjamin beheld that instrument with the map of the stars of heaven, and he was wise and looked therein to know where his brother was. So Benjamin was wise and he used it. So divination was something that he, as Benjamin had said, Jacob was teaching. You understand? Wisdom. Makosi, wisdom is the law. Anyway. Okay, Benjamin beheld the instrument of the map of the stars of heaven, and he was wise, and looked therein to know where his brother was. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt. All right, he took the map of stars, he divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions. And he found that he who was sitting upon the throne before him was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said unto Benjamin, What have you seen? Why are you so astonished? And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this, the instrument, that Joseph, my brother, sitteth here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph, your brother. Reveal not this thing unto thy brethren. Behold, I will send thee with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again into the city, and I will take you away from them. And that's the whole plan of the stealing of the cup. Benjamin was in on it. But nonetheless, okay, divination was something that was taught. Okay, divination was a show of wisdom, or it was a manifestation of wisdom. Okay, so let's look again. Let's look at David. Okay. Let's look at David. First Samuel chapter 30. Oh my goodness. So 1 Samuel chapter 30 from verse 1 to 8. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the 3rd day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south. This is when David's wives were captured. And Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire, and had taken the women captives, and they were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away, and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned, with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's 2 wives were taken captives. Okay. Verse 6. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And God answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David David asked the priest to bring the ephod. The ephod is like a divination tool, and God responded to David using that divination tool. Let's look at the 11 apostles after Msini's passing. Of course. Acts chapter 1 verse 24 and to 26. And they prayed and said, Thou, Lord, which knowest the hearts of all men, show whether these two thou hast chosen. So this is when they are trying to replace Judas. So they are praying. Show whether of these two thou hast chosen, that he may take part of this ministry and apostleship, from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. So the casting of lots is divination. Okay. Makosi, the casting of lots is divination. So even the 11 apostles were divining, and that's how they received their messages from God at times. Okay, at times. Let's look at Saul. 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 10. I just want to... So I want to show you here that Saul, besides being anointed as a king, he was also a prophet. Okay, he had what we know as umgidi, like when the prophets and the sangomas come together and then they dance. For the mere fact of the name is sangoma, is the one of Makosi, the ones of music, because they dance and they dance. It's one of our things. So we're gonna see that here. So verse 5 and 6. After that, this is Samuel speaking to Saul, telling him where to go and what he's gonna do. After that, thou shalt come to the hill of God, where is the garrison of the Philistines, and it shall come to pass, when thou art come thither to the city, that thou shalt meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place, a company of sangomas coming down from the high place, from the mountains, with the upholstery and with the instruments before them, and they shall prophesy. And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou wilt prophesy with them, and you will be turned into another man. You understand? So the Spirit of God is going to come upon you. And I know they say you're going to be turned into another man, yes. But say when you prophesy, you're going to be speaking as you're going to be turned into another man, meaning idlozi lizophuma. You understand? Whilst you are dancing, the ancestor that is also leading you will arise. And you will be turned into another man. Okay. And let it be when thou... this is verse 7. Okay, no time. Let's move on. That's Saul. Okay. Let's look at another example. Let's go to chapter 28, same book. 1 Samuel. From chapter 28, from verse 4. And the Philistines gathered together themselves and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by the prophets. So when he went to inquire of God using divination, God didn't answer him, because really he had his drama and he had his issues. Okay, was in trouble. So I want you to see, therefore, also that because how can I put it? A prophet, okay, is God's oracle and a mediator of his whole revelation, one who's supposed to teach God's law. Okay, right. So, a sign of being punished by God was the silence, the lack of divination and visitation from God, like the lack of answers. So, when things are silent, okay, it's usually, well, not usually, but here in the Bible, it's taken as a sign of punishment. Okay, let's look at Micah chapter 3. Where am I going? Oh my gosh. Okay, Micah chapter 3, from verse 5 to 7. Thus saith the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people err. You see, so your prophets are supposed to be teaching you God's laws. They are the mediator of God's word. Okay, so if they err, it means the whole nation is gonna be erring. No, Makosi. And so I guess the health of a nation is also dependent on their prophets, or what comes out. Spiritual state, I could say. Okay. Thus saith the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace, and he that putteth not into their mouths, they even prepare war against them. Therefore night shall come unto you, that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine. The sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then the seers shall be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. They shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of God. So, having no answer from divination and the inability to divine when you're supposed to divine, okay, is a punishment to a nation. All right. Remember, the prophet is supposed to be one who is teaching the people God's laws. The prophet is the mediator of God's word. The prophet would or should seek to have the whole revelation, all right? Because unto the bad Jews was committed the whole revelation of God. So, thank you. I hope that was interesting. I hope we learned something. And I hope we can start also to decolonize. Emakosini, Tolozani, thank you so much. And be blessed until next time.